Hi everyone, welcome. Today we're going to talk about how to unlock the power of your mind. My name is Kelly and this is your home for yoga, manifestation, and meditation. Before we dive in, please remember to hit that like button, click subscribe, and turn on your notifications so that you get notified every time I post a new video. So let's talk about how you can unlock the power of your mind. We can actually rewire our brain. We can create new neural pathways in our brain so that we can basically overwrite old stories and limiting beliefs that no longer serve us and the path that we're trying to go on. There's a misconception that our brain is basically formed completely by the time we're about 35 years old. And while as the older we get, it does get harder to rewire the brain, it's not impossible. We can choose at any point in our life to create new habits and overwrite the old ones that aren't serving us. Neural pathways are like roads in our brain, if you will. And the longer we stick with a certain thought pattern, the more well-worn that road gets. So the more ingrained it becomes in our brain and really in our way of thinking and living in this world. Something like 90% of the thoughts that we have today are the same thoughts as we had yesterday. So the more we think those thoughts, the more we feed into them, the more well-worn that road gets. So what we can do if we decide that a thought pattern is no longer serving us is we can choose to create a new neural pathway, a new road, and eventually over time, we automatically start taking that road instead of the old road, if you will. So these are 3 tips that you can do to create new neural pathways, to rewire your brain, and ultimately unlock the power of your mind to help you create the life that you really want to be living. The first step is to practice being the witness. They also call this witness consciousness, where basically you practice imagining as if you're watching yourself from above and just watching the thoughts as they flow in and out of your mind without judgment. This is why meditation is so powerful, because it teaches us to practice this witness consciousness, this non-attachment as we watch thoughts come in and out. We see them come in and then we can choose to let them go and bring our awareness back to the present moment. So again, you can practice this through meditation. You can also just practice this as you go through your day. When you notice thoughts come in, rather than attaching to them and letting them kind of take over, you can just say, that's interesting, and see if you can just let it go and shift your awareness back to something that's actually in the present, like your breath, your heartbeat, any other sensations in your body, or anything you see or hear or smell around you. You also want to practice this with your emotions. Emotions are fleeting, right? Same thing as thoughts. They come in, they come out, but so often we attach to our emotions. And trust me, I'm an emotional being. That's part of my design. So this is something I've had to really look at and work through in my life. But the thing with emotions is, if we attach to them, those become thoughts, and those thoughts over time become those well-worn neural pathways. So we really want to do the same thing, watch our emotions as they come in and out. We can always journal on them too, which is really powerful. So if we notice that we're feeling sad, rather than identifying with that emotion, saying, I am sad, I'm just so sad, I am depressed, all of that. Instead of that, we can just say, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling depressed. Maybe we write down, I am feeling sad because, and reflecting on that, and then allowing ourselves to actually sit with it for a moment and then process it and then release it back out. And that way it doesn't turn into this repetitive thought pattern and thus a neural pathway that maybe now we just believe at our core that we are a sad person. The second tip is to practice non-attachment. So kind of like I was talking about non-attachment with our emotions and our thoughts, we can also practice non-attachment to our expectation of things. We can practice non-attachment to our expectation of others and to situations that we might be going into. We can practice non-attachment to material things. We can practice non-attachment with what we think our life should be now versus what it actually is. So really practicing non-attachment really in every area of our life. Attachment is truly the greatest source of suffering in the human experience. I have a blog that I wrote years ago, but I feel like it just goes so well with this. I will link that below. But yeah, practicing non-attachment is so powerful because when we attach to things, whether it's an expectation of how something's going to turn out or how another person's going to show up or how we think we should perform in any given instance or specific material things that we really think we desire. When we attach to things, we get disappointed, and then that disappointed emotion can turn into a disappointed thought pattern, which can turn into this neural pathway that maybe we always get disappointed or some sort of a limiting belief around it. So the second tip is to really just practice non-attachment in your life. It kind of goes back to just being the witness and allowing yourself to notice when you are attaching to things, and then to see if you can just take a deep breath and let it go. The third tip has a couple of parts to it, but it is repetition. So repeating new positive habits or way of thinking until we create that new neural pathway like I talked about earlier. So one of the best ways I like to do this is through affirmations. I have found affirmations to be very powerful in my life as well as in my clients and friends and family's lives. So what we do when we notice we have a neural pathway that we no longer want. Say it's a neural pathway that tells me that I am unworthy of calling in a certain thing in my life. Maybe it's love, for example. I'm unworthy of love. Maybe that's the neural pathway. That's my subconscious thought pattern that has developed over time. I can create an affirmation that's basically the reverse of that. So the affirmation could be something like, I am worthy of love, or I love myself unconditionally, or I love and accept myself. Basically, we want to make sure that the affirmation that we choose is powerful. That maybe when we first start using it, we notice that we don't actually completely resonate with us. Maybe it feels hard for us to actually feel that affirmation when we're saying it. And that is a clear sign that we have work to do. We need to really practice repetition with that affirmation so that we eventually, over time, we're going to create that new neural pathway and we're going to begin to believe it deep down in our soul, in our subconscious mind. And, manifesting what we desire really comes from this subconscious sense of self-worth, that we are subconsciously worthy. Not that we can just, consciously be like, I am worthy of that. That's what I want. We have to believe it deep down in the subconscious mind. So you want to work with whatever affirmation you choose over and over and over and over and over again, whether it's in meditation and or throughout your day when you notice whatever that limiting belief is arising. You'll want to repeat that affirmation to yourself multiple times. So that's the first piece of repetition you can do, is creating an affirmation for yourself. You can also write the affirmation down. Again, just doing it over and over again until you actually believe it deep down. The second piece to repetition is creating new habits. I've always found that creating a new positive habit is much more powerful in eliminating an old negative one than actually focusing on eliminating the old negative one. You want to be aware of the negative habit and the negative neural pathway. You want to make sure that you have boundaries with yourself to help you not, continue that negative habit. But the most powerful thing you can do is to create a new positive habit. So, for example, if you are trying to rid yourself of an old negative habit of watching too much Netflix at night, or eating too many snacks at night before you go to bed, you realize that this habit is not serving you, it's not helping you mentally or physically or emotionally, it's not putting you in the direction that you are really saying that you desire to go in, then you're going to create a new positive habit to kind of counter that. And over time, with repetition, that will create a new neural pathway. So your automatic go-to will be the new positive habit versus the old negative habit. So if you're trying to keep yourself from eating too many snacks at night, you're going to want to create a new positive habit of maybe making yourself a cup of tea, or just giving yourself like one piece of fruit to have at night with your tea, instead of bringing the bags of chips or whatever it is onto the couch or wherever you snack. So creating a new positive habit that will kind of trigger your mind to say, okay, we're going in this direction versus I'm going to go in that old direction. And of course, it's going to take some time. And the best thing you can do when trying to create a new positive habit is to make sure that your environment is set up for success. So if you know that you're going to want to reach for a bunch of snacks at night, making sure that they are maybe not in your house at all. You don't buy the snacks, right? Or making sure that you go into a different room where you're not going to be tempted to just go and grab those snacks. So set up your environment for success as the best that you can. Focus on the new habit and give yourself a good, they say 21 days. 21 days plus to integrate that new habit, and know that with a little bit of that willpower, but also really just setting yourself up for success, you will be able to integrate that new habit, and that old habit will just be kind of like paved over. That well-worn road will be paved over, so your go-to isn't going to be to go to that negative habit anymore, and it's going to be a lot easier. So that is how we unlock the power of our mind. Please comment below. Let me know which of these tools you're going to start with first. Let me know what new positive habits you're going to be calling in. And, reach out if you want some support. I have my Soul Spark coaching program where I work with clients one-on-one to integrate the tools that are going to help them to build a better future for themselves, to redesign their life and manifest their dreams. You can also join me for my Bali Goddess Retreat coming up this fall 2024 at the end of September, and you can find all the info for all of that in the description below. All right, thank you guys for tuning in. Remember to hit like, hit subscribe, and I'll catch you back here very soon.